feeling a little empty sometimes, even when you're surrounded by people, or maybe especially when you're not. It's a feeling many of us brush aside, maybe feel a little guilty about admitting. We think we should be content, settled, enjoying our quiet years. But that quiet can sometimes feel deafening. There's a truth about getting older, about this time of life, that sits just beneath the surface. And it's something many of us experience but rarely talk about openly. It's the quiet ache of loneliness. It's more common than you might think, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong. In fact, there are hidden aspects to this feeling that often go unacknowledged, misunderstood even. Things we need to bring into the light. In this video, we're going to look at 5 hidden truths about loneliness in old age that no one really talks about. Understanding these can be the first step towards feeling more connected, more understood, and less alone with the feeling of being alone. Stick with me, because if you watch to the end, I promise you something that will surprise you. Let's dive right into the first of these hidden truths. Something that might feel a little counterintuitive at first. We often think of loneliness as simply being alone, physically. But the first hidden truth is that loneliness in old age isn't just about the absence of people. It's often about the quality of connection, or the lack thereof. In the relationships we do have, think about it. Have you ever been at a family gathering, surrounded by loved ones, yet still felt a pang of isolation? Maybe the conversation felt superficial, or you felt like you couldn't share what was really on your mind. Perhaps your children and grandchildren are busy with their own lives, and while they love you, the interactions feel rushed or centered around practicalities rather than genuine emotional connection. This isn't a failing on anyone's part. It's simply a reality of different life stages and busy schedules. But it highlights this crucial point: you can be physically present with others and still feel deeply lonely if those interactions don't meet your need for meaningful connection. Understanding, or intimacy, not just romantic intimacy, but the intimacy of truly being seen and heard. This kind of loneliness can be particularly painful because it comes with a layer of confusion or guilt. You might think, I have family, I have friends. Why do I still feel this way? This misunderstanding keeps the feeling hidden, even from ourselves. We might pretend everything is fine, put on a brave face, because admitting we feel lonely when we aren't physically alone feels like an admission of ingratitude or failure. But acknowledging this truth is vital. It means the solution isn't always just find more people to be around. It's about nurturing the depth of the connections you have, and perhaps finding new ways to connect on a more authentic level. It's about understanding that a few deep, genuine connections are far more potent against loneliness than a large number of superficial acquaintances. Think about the difference between a quick phone call that feels like checking a box and a longer chat where you actually share a laugh, a worry, or a memory that matters. The second is medicine for the soul. The first, while maybe necessary, doesn't touch the loneliness. This hidden truth teaches us that we need to focus on cultivating relationships where we feel truly valued, understood, and able to be our authentic selves, wrinkles and all. It's a reminder to be brave enough to seek out or create these deeper connections, even within existing relationships. It might mean initiating a conversation that goes beyond the weather, or finding activities you can share that allow for genuine interaction. Moving on to the second hidden truth, which often goes hand in hand with the first: loneliness in old age is frequently linked to the loss of roles and identity that structured our earlier lives. For decades, many of us had defined roles: parent, spouse, employee, volunteer, caregiver. These roles didn't just occupy our time. They gave us a sense of purpose, belonging, and identity. They connected us to communities, the workplace, school gates, community groups, the rhythm of raising a family. As we age, these roles can diminish or disappear entirely. Children grow up and leave home. A spouse might pass away. Retirement ends a career. Physical limitations might prevent us from continuing activities we loved. Suddenly, the structure is gone. And with it, the built-in opportunities for connection and the sense of who we are can feel shaken. This isn't just about having free time. It's about losing the daily interactions, the shared goals, the sense of being needed and contributing. Think about retirement. For many, it's a long-anticipated freedom. But what happens when the initial excitement wears off? The colleagues you saw daily are no longer part of your routine. The shared projects and workplace camaraderie vanish. Suddenly, you have hours stretching before you. But the underlying feeling can be one of being disconnected from the productive world you were a part of for so long. Similarly, when children are grown and independent, the intense, daily focus of parenting shifts. While wonderful in many ways, it can leave a void where constant interaction, problem-solving, and shared purpose once existed. This loss of identity tied to roles is a significant contributor to loneliness. And it's not just about missing the activity, it's about missing the sense of worth and belonging those roles provided. This hidden truth tells us that combating loneliness in old age often requires actively building new roles and identities that provide purpose and connection. It means exploring interests you put on hold, volunteering in areas you care about, joining clubs or groups centered around hobbies, or even starting a small new venture. It's about finding new ways to contribute, to learn, and to connect with others who share those interests or goals. It's about consciously replacing the structure and connection that previous roles provided. Acknowledging that this loss of roles impacts our sense of connection is a powerful step in addressing the root cause of this type of loneliness. Rather than just trying to fill the time, it's about rebuilding a life that feels rich with purpose and connection. Even when the familiar structures are gone, carrying on from that idea of losing familiar structures. The third hidden truth is that loneliness in old age is often exacerbated by the simple, unavoidable reality of our social circles naturally shrinking. This isn't anyone's fault. It's just life happening. As the years go by, we inevitably face the loss of friends, siblings, and partners. People move away. Health issues make getting together difficult. And sadly, people pass away. The vibrant social network that might have sustained us for decades begins to thin out. This is a particularly cruel aspect of aging because it's largely out of our control. We can't stop time or prevent loss. But the impact on our daily opportunities for connection is profound. The friend you used to have coffee with every Tuesday gone. The neighbor you chatted with over the fence moved closer to family. The bridge group that met weekly members are dwindling. This gradual erosion of our social ties means that the effort required to maintain connections, or forge new ones, increases significantly. It can feel like constantly swimming against the current, and for those who have been widowed or lost several close friends in a relatively short period, the silence in their lives can become deafening. They might feel like the last one left standing, surrounded by memories, but lacking present-day companionship. This hidden truth highlights the importance of being proactive about building and maintaining connections. Even when it feels difficult, it means reaching out to those who are still here, making an effort to see them regularly, even if it's just for a short visit or a phone call. It also means being open to forming new connections, which can feel daunting as we get older. The thought of putting ourselves out there, joining a new group, or striking up a conversation with a stranger can be intimidating. But acknowledging that our natural circles are shrinking underscores the necessity of doing just that. It's about embracing opportunities for connection wherever they arise. At the local community center, the library, a park, or through online groups. It's a reminder that while we can't replace those we've lost, we can still create new bonds that bring joy, companionship, and a sense of belonging. It's about finding courage in vulnerability and understanding that everyone, at every age, needs connection. Now, let's touch upon the fourth hidden truth. which is perhaps the most internal one. Loneliness in old age can be deeply influenced by our own mindset and our fear of being a burden. Many older adults, having been independent and capable for so long, struggle with the idea of needing help or even just needing company. There's a deep-seated desire to maintain self-sufficiency, and this can translate into a reluctance to reach out, to ask for a visit, or to admit they're feeling lonely. They don't want to bother their busy children or friends. They don't want to seem needy or complaining. This internal barrier, this fear of being a burden, is a powerful, often unspoken, driver of loneliness. It creates a self-imposed isolation, where the person who most needs connection is the least likely to seek it out for fear of inconveniencing others. This mindset is often rooted in a lifetime of being the caregiver, the provider, the strong one. Shifting from that role to one where you might need support is a significant psychological hurdle. It requires a degree of vulnerability that can feel uncomfortable. But the truth is, most people who care about you want to connect with you and don't see you as a burden. They cherish the time they spend with you, value your wisdom and company. The fear is often greater than the reality. This hidden truth reveals that addressing loneliness isn't just about external factors like having people around. It's also about challenging our own internal narratives. It's about giving ourselves permission to need connection and to ask for it. It's about understanding that relationships are a two-way street, and allowing others to give to you is just as important as you giving to them. It's about reframing asking for company not as a burden, but as an opportunity for someone else to share their time and love with you. It requires a conscious effort to push past that fear, to send that text, make that call, or accept that invitation, even when it feels awkward or like you're imposing. It's about recognizing that your need for connection is valid and worthy of being met. Finally, let's uncover the fifth hidden truth, which is often the hardest to confront. Loneliness in old age isn't always a temporary state that can be easily fixed. For some, it can become a chronic condition, a persistent low-level ache that requires ongoing strategies and support, not a one-time solution. We live in a society that often promotes quick fixes and instant gratification. We want to solve problems and move on, but loneliness, especially in later life, can be complex, interwoven with grief, health challenges, mobility issues, and the structural changes we discussed earlier. For some, it's not just about lacking social interaction on a particular day. It's a deeper feeling of disconnection that can feel pervasive. This hidden truth reminds us that managing loneliness might not mean eradicating it entirely, but rather learning to live with it in a healthier way, finding ways to mitigate its impact and build resilience. It's about developing a toolbox of strategies, from scheduled social interactions and engaging hobbies to mindfulness practices and seeking professional support if needed. It acknowledges that there might be days the feeling is stronger than others, and that's okay. It's about finding consistent ways to weave connection and purpose into the fabric of daily life, rather than relying on sporadic bursts of social activity. This truth also highlights the importance of self-compassion. If you're feeling lonely, it's not a personal failing. It's a human response to circumstances that are often challenging and beyond our complete control. It's about being kind to yourself, acknowledging the difficulty, and focusing on the small steps you can take consistently. It's about understanding that addressing chronic loneliness is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to adapt and try different approaches until you find what works for you. It's a call to build a sustainable lifestyle that prioritizes mental and emotional well-being alongside physical health. So, we've talked about these 5 hidden truths: that loneliness isn't just about being alone, but about the quality of our connections, that it's tied to the loss of roles and identity, that it's amplified by the natural shrinking of our social circles, that our own mindset and fear of being a burden play a huge part, and finally, that for some, it can be a persistent challenge requiring ongoing strategies. Understanding these isn't meant to be disheartening. Quite the opposite. It's about bringing these feelings into the light so we can address them honestly and effectively. It's a reminder that you are not alone in feeling this way, and that feeling lonely is a normal, human experience, especially as we navigate the later chapters of life. These feelings aren't a sign of failure, but a signal that our fundamental human need for connection isn't being fully met, and acknowledging that is the most powerful first step. Remember, small steps can make a big difference. It might be reaching out to one person this week you haven't spoken to in a while. It might be exploring a new interest or revisiting an old hobby. It might be simply being more aware of your own thoughts and fears about connection. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. And celebrate every small victory in reaching out or trying something new. Now, I promised you something that would surprise you if you watched to the end. And here it is. We often think the opposite of loneliness is being surrounded by people, external connection. But the surprising truth is that one of the most powerful antidotes to loneliness, particularly in later life, comes from within. It's cultivating a strong, nurturing relationship with yourself. It's about rediscovering your own interests, finding joy in your own company, pursuing activities that deeply engage you, and developing a sense of inner peace and self-acceptance. When you have a rich inner life, when you are comfortable and content being with yourself, the pangs of loneliness, while they may still appear, lose much of their power. It's about becoming your own best companion. This isn't about giving up on external connection, not at all. External connections are vital, but building that inner strength, that self-reliance for contentment, creates a powerful foundation that makes you less dependent on others to fill a void. It means you approach relationships from a place of fullness, not emptiness. It's about discovering that you are, and always have been, enough. Even when you are physically alone, that inner relationship is the one constant connection you have, and nurturing it can profoundly change how you experience the world and how you connect with others. It's a surprising truth because we're so focused on the external, but the key often lies within. I really hope this has given you something to think about. Loneliness is a complex feeling, but understanding its hidden facets is the first step towards navigating it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Have any of these truths resonated with you? What strategies have you found helpful? Please share in the comments below. Your experience could help someone else who is feeling the same way. And if you found this video helpful or insightful, please give it a like. It helps others find it. And consider subscribing to the channel for more videos that explore the realities and opportunities of living a fulfilling life at every age. Remember, you are not alone, and you have the strength and wisdom to navigate these feelings. Live your best life at every age.